First contact and misconceptions. The Galactic Academy's halls buzzed with excitement as Xerox, a young Vexillian student, prepared for her first field assignment. Her iridescent scales shimmered with anticipation as she boarded the sleek research vessel bound for Earth, a primitive planet on the fringes of known space. Professor Quall, a respected xenobiologist, briefed the students during the journey. "Remember," he cautioned, his tentacles waving for emphasis, "humans are a fragile species. Their planet's high gravity has stunted their evolution. Treat them gently, and don't be alarmed by their primitive technology." Xerox absorbed every word, imagining the frail creatures she'd soon encounter. As the ship entered Earth's atmosphere, she felt a mix of curiosity and pity for these supposedly weak beings. The landing site was a remote desert region. As the students disembarked, Xerox's first impression was the oppressive heat and the harshness of the environment. How could any species survive here, let alone thrive? Their mission was to observe human settlements from a distance, collecting data on behavior and social structures. The group set up a cloaked observation post on a rocky outcrop overlooking a small town. Days passed, and Xerox found herself fascinated by the humans' activities. They seemed far more robust than she'd been led to believe, working tirelessly under the scorching sun. She watched them build, farm, and go about their lives with a determination that puzzled her. One afternoon, alarms blared through the observation post. A massive dust storm was approaching, far sooner than their weather models had predicted. As the Vexillian students scrambled to secure their equipment, Xerox noticed movement in the valley below. A group of humans was caught in the open, struggling against the rising winds. Without thinking, Xerox activated her personal shield and raced down the slope, her superior speed allowing her to reach the humans quickly. "Come with me," she shouted over the howling wind, forgetting in her panic that the humans shouldn't be able to understand her. To her shock, one of them responded. "Who? What are you?" a young woman asked, eyes wide with a mix of fear and wonder. Before Xerox could respond, the storm hit in full force. Acting on instinct, she expanded her shield to cover the humans, her technology easily withstanding the onslaught of sand and debris. As they huddled together, waiting out the storm, Xerox found herself face to face with the very beings she'd been taught to view as primitive. The woman who had spoken introduced herself as Sarah, an environmental scientist studying the region's changing climate. "You're not from around here, are you?" Sarah asked, a hint of amusement in her voice despite the situation. Xerox, realizing the protocol for first contact had been thoroughly shattered, decided honesty was the best approach. "No, I'm not. My name is Xerox. Well, I suppose you'd call me an alien." The humans exchanged glances, but to Xerox's surprise, there was more curiosity than fear in their expressions. As the storm raged on, they began to talk, sharing information about their respective worlds and cultures. Xerox learned that Sarah and her team were working on advanced climate modeling systems, using technology far more sophisticated than she'd expected. The humans, in turn, were fascinated by Xerox's shield and the implications of extraterrestrial life. As the storm finally subsided, Xerox knew that her actions would have severe consequences. She had violated every protocol for covert observation and non-interference. Yet, as she looked at the faces of Sarah and her team, she couldn't bring herself to regret it. "I have to go," Xerox said, aware that her fellow students and Professor Quall would be frantic with worry. "But this isn't the last you'll see of us." Sarah nodded, a mix of emotions playing across her face. "We'll be ready." And Xerox, "Thank you." As Xerox made her way back to the observation post, her mind raced. Everything she'd been taught about humans had been wrong. They weren't weak or primitive. They were adaptable, resilient, and far more advanced than the Galactic Academy realized. She knew that her report would spark controversy, possibly even disbelief. But Xerox was determined to tell the truth about what she'd witnessed. The humans deserved to be seen for what they truly were, a species of remarkable potential, ready to take their place among the stars. Little did Xerox know that this unexpected encounter would set in motion a chain of events that would change both their worlds forever. Clash of cultures and unexpected alliances. The revelation of alien contact sent shockwaves through human society. Governments scrambled to respond, militaries went on high alert, and the scientific community buzzed with excitement and trepidation. Sarah found herself at the center of a storm of debriefings, interviews, and strategy sessions. Meanwhile, in the halls of the Galactic Academy, Xerox faced the consequences of her actions. She stood before the Council of Elders, her scales dulled with anxiety as she recounted her experiences on Earth. "You have jeopardized centuries of careful observation." Elder Vextor boomed, his crystalline form shimmering with disapproval. "Your reckless actions could destabilize an entire species." Xerox held her ground. "With respect, Elders, our understanding of humans is fundamentally flawed. They are not the primitive beings we thought them to be. Their resilience, their technology, we have grossly underestimated them." The debate raged for days. Some called for immediate withdrawal from Earth, others for more aggressive observation. In the end, a compromise was reached. A diplomatic mission would be sent to Earth, with Xerox as part of the delegation, to establish formal first contact. As the Vixillian ship entered Earth's orbit, tensions on the planet below reached a fever pitch. Despite efforts to prepare the public, the sight of an alien vessel in the sky sparked panic in some areas and religious fervor in others. The landing site was chosen carefully, a neutral location in Switzerland. As the ship touched down, a mixed delegation of world leaders, scientists, and military personnel waited with bated breath. Xerox was the first to emerge, her familiar face providing a small measure of comfort to the humans present. She was followed by Ambassador Lyrex, a statuesque being whose form seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. Sarah, now serving as a scientific advisor to the human delegation, stepped forward. "Welcome to Earth," she said, her voice steady despite the enormity of the moment. Ambassador Lyrex inclined their head. "We come in peace and with hope for mutual understanding." What followed was a whirlwind of negotiations, cultural exchanges, and scientific collaboration. The Vixillians were fascinated by human art, music, and philosophy, while humans marveled at Vixillian technology and their deep understanding of the cosmos. However, not all interactions were smooth. Misunderstandings abounded, and there were those on both sides who viewed the other with suspicion or outright hostility. A pivotal moment came during a joint scientific expedition to study a unique geological formation in the Andes. Xerox and Sarah were part of the team, their friendship having grown despite the chaos of recent events. As they worked, tremors began to shake the mountain. What had seemed like a stable region was suddenly on the verge of a massive landslide. The mixed team of human and Vexillian scientists found themselves trapped, cut off from their base camp and communication equipment. In the face of danger, the two species were forced to work together, combining Vexillian technology with human ingenuity and knowledge of the terrain. Xerox's shield technology protected them from falling debris, while Sarah's expertise in geophysics helped them navigate to safety. As they huddled in a cave, waiting for rescue, humans and Vexillians shared stories, fears, and hopes. Barriers began to break down, and genuine friendships formed. When they finally emerged, battered but alive, news of their ordeal and cooperation spread rapidly. It became a symbol of what could be achieved when the two species worked together. Back in the diplomatic chambers, discussions took on a new tone. There was still caution, still disagreement, but also a growing sense of possibility. Ambassador Lyrex addressed the human delegation. "We have much to learn from each other. While our civilizations may be at different stages, we recognize the potential within humanity. We propose a partnership, a gradual introduction of our peoples, an exchange of knowledge and culture." The human representatives conferred, their debate heated but constructive. Finally, the Secretary General of the United Nations stepped forward. "We accept your proposal, Ambassador. Let this be the beginning of a new era for both our species. As the formal agreements were drafted, Xerox and Sarah stood together, watching the proceedings. Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this? Sarah asked. Xerox's scales shimmered with emotion. Never, but I'm glad it did. There's so much we can accomplish together. Sarah nodded, her eyes on the horizon. This is just the beginning, isn't it? Indeed, Xerox replied. The galaxy is vast and full of wonders and dangers. We'll need each other in the times to come. Little did they know how prophetic those words would prove to be. As Earth and Vexilia began their careful dance of diplomacy and cultural exchange, other forces in the galaxy took notice. Not all alien civilizations viewed humanity's emergence on the galactic stage with benevolence. In the depths of space, ancient powers stirred, their attention drawn to the small blue planet and its unlikely alliance. The true test of human resilience and Vexilian wisdom was yet to come. Revelations and changing perspectives. As the Earth-Vexilian alliance grew stronger, the exchange of knowledge and technology accelerated. Human scientists worked alongside Vexilian experts, making rapid advancements in fields ranging from medicine to space travel. Cities around the world saw the gradual integration of Vexilian architecture and technology, while Vexilian settlements on Earth became centers of cultural exchange. Xerox, now a respected diplomat and cultural liaison, found herself constantly amazed by human adaptability. She watched as children played with holographic toys, as human doctors performed miracles with Vexilian medical tech, and as the first joint human-Vexilian space missions ventured beyond the solar system. However, not all was smooth sailing. Pockets of resistance remained on both sides. Some humans feared the loss of their identity and independence, while conservative factions among the Vexilians worried about the unpredictable nature of their new allies. It was against this backdrop that a startling discovery was made. A joint archaeological expedition in the Gobi Desert unearthed evidence of ancient alien visitations to Earth, visitations that predated both human civilization and Vexilian records. Sarah, leading the human side of the expedition, could hardly contain her excitement as she presented the findings to a mixed council of human and Vexilian leaders. The artifacts we found suggest an advanced civilization was present on Earth over 100,000 years ago, she explained, her voice trembling with the magnitude of the discovery. What's more, we found similar artifacts on other planets within our joint exploration range. The implications were staggering. Both humans and Vexilians had to confront the fact that they were not alone in the galaxy, and perhaps never had been. As news of the discovery spread, it sparked a renaissance of sorts. Human and Vexilian researchers pored over ancient texts and legends, finding tantalizing hints of these ancient visitors in the myths and stories of both cultures. Xerox found herself deeply involved in this research, her unique perspective as a bridge between the two cultures proving invaluable. Working late one night in a joint research facility, she stumbled upon a pattern in the data that had eluded others. Sarah, she called out, her scales flickering with excitement. I think I've found something. Sarah rushed over, her eyes widening as she saw what Xerox had discovered. The patterns in the ancient artifacts, when combined with certain human myths and Vexilian astronomical data, pointed to a specific region of space. It's like they left us a map, Sarah breathed. The discovery galvanized both species. Plans were quickly drawn up for a joint mission to explore the indicated region of space. The most advanced ship ever created through human-Vexilian cooperation was commissioned for the journey. As preparations for the mission progressed, strange events began to occur. Unusual energy signatures were detected at the edge of the solar system. Unidentified objects were briefly spotted by deep space telescopes. There was a growing sense that something was stirring in the cosmos. Xerox and Sarah found themselves at the center of these events, their unique friendship and combined expertise making them invaluable to the mission. They were among the first selected for the crew of the exploratory vessel, christened Horizon. On the day of the launch, crowds gathered around the world and on Vexilia to watch the historic moment. The sleek ship, a perfect blend of human ingenuity and Vexilian technology, rose from its launch pad in a brilliant flare of energy. As the Horizon left Earth's atmosphere, its crew settled in for the long journey ahead. Xerox and Sarah stood together on the observation deck, watching their home planet shrink in the distance. "Are you scared?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Xerox's scales rippled thoughtfully. "A little," she admitted, "but mostly, I'm excited. Whatever we find out there, we'll face it together." Sarah nodded, a smile playing on her lips. "Who would have thought, when we first met in that dust storm, that we'd end up here?" "The universe is full of surprises," Xerox replied. "I think we're about to encounter many more." As the Horizon accelerated towards its destination, the crew was unaware that they were being watched. In the vast expanse of space, ancient eyes turned their attention to the small ship and its mixed crew of humans and Vexilians. The journey to uncover the truth about the ancient visitors had begun, but it would lead to revelations far beyond what anyone had imagined. The true nature of the galaxy and humanity's place in it was about to be revealed, for better or for worse. As the Horizon ventured deeper into uncharted space, the crew's excitement was tinged with a growing sense of unease. Strange anomalies began to appear on their sensors, defying explanation by both human and Vexilian scientists. Xerox and Sarah found themselves working around the clock, analyzing data and trying to make sense of the increasingly bizarre phenomena they were encountering. Energy fields that seemed to defy the laws of physics, spatial distortions that twisted light in impossible ways. It was as if the very fabric of space-time was being manipulated around them. "It's like we're seeing the remnants of technology so advanced it's indistinguishable from magic," Sarah mused, her eyes bloodshot from hours of staring at holographic displays. Xerox nodded, her scales dulled with fatigue. "Or perhaps we're simply too primitive to understand what we're seeing. Either way, I can't shake the feeling that we're being tested somehow." Their suspicions were confirmed when, 3 months into their journey, the Horizon encountered a massive structure floating in the void of space. It was like nothing they had ever seen. A sprawling complex of interconnected spheres and cylinders, each larger than a planet, pulsing with energy. As the crew debated their next move, a message was received, not through any conventional means, but directly into the minds of every being on the ship. The language was neither human nor Vexilian, yet somehow perfectly understandable to all. "Children of Earth and Vexilia," the voice resonated in their thoughts. "You have been deemed worthy of the next step. Enter and face the trials that await. Your species' future hangs in the balance." The message sent shockwaves through the crew. Some argued for caution, others for immediate retreat. But in the end, curiosity and the weight of their mission won out. The Horizon cautiously approached the massive structure, which seemed to open before them like a blooming flower. As they entered, Xerox and Sarah found themselves at the forefront of the exploration teams. The interior of the structure defied comprehension, spaces that seemed to fold in on themselves, rooms that changed configuration at will, and technology that responded to thought alone. But it was more than just a test of their scientific understanding. As they progressed deeper into the complex, the crew faced challenges that probed their ethics, their courage, and their ability to work together. Human and Vexilian alike were pushed to their limits, forced to confront their deepest fears and highest aspirations. Through it all, Xerox and Sarah's friendship proved to be a beacon of hope and stability. Their trust in each other, forged through years of collaboration and shared experiences, allowed them to overcome obstacles that would have broken others. Finally, after what seemed like weeks of trials, though time itself seemed fluid within the structure, they reached what appeared to be the central chamber. Here, they encountered beings of pure energy, so advanced that their very existence seemed to bend reality. Joint mission and growing understanding. The central chamber of the alien structure pulsed with an otherworldly energy. Xerox, Sarah, and the rest of the Horizon's crew found themselves face to face with beings of pure light. The Luminarians, as they called themselves. "We are the Guardians," one of the beings communicated directly into their minds. "We have watched over the younger races for eons, guiding their evolution from afar." The revelation stunned the crew. The Luminarians explained that they had once been a physical species like humans and Vexillians, but had transcended their corporeal forms millions of years ago. They had seeded countless worlds with life, Earth and Vexilia among them, and had subtly guided their development. "But why reveal yourselves now?" Sarah asked, her scientific curiosity overcoming her awe. The Luminarians' response was grave. "A great darkness approaches, a force that threatens not just your worlds, but the entire galaxy. We have brought you here because the alliance between humans and Vexillians represents a unique hope." Xerex's scales flickered with concern. "What is this darkness? How can we possibly stand against something that threatens beings as powerful as you?" "The Devourers," the Luminarian replied, projecting images of a terrifying force that consumed entire star systems. "They are drawn to advanced civilizations, feeding off their energy and leaving only husks behind. We cannot directly intervene due to ancient laws, but we can prepare you." The crew of the Horizon spent what felt like months in the Luminarians' realm, though time flowed differently there. They were given access to knowledge and technology beyond their wildest dreams, but more importantly, they were taught to unlock potentials within themselves that neither humans nor Vexillians knew they possessed. Sarah discovered she could manipulate energy fields with her mind, while Xerox developed the ability to perceive multiple dimensions simultaneously. Others in the crew manifested equally astounding abilities. As their training progressed, the bond between the human and Vexillian crew members deepened. They were no longer two species working together, but a unified force with a shared purpose. The key to defeating the Devourers lies not in technology alone, the Luminarians taught them, but in the synergy between your species. Your differences are your strength. When it was time for the Horizon to return, the crew found themselves forever changed. They carried with them not only advanced technology and newfound abilities, but a profound understanding of their place in the cosmos. The journey back to Earth was tense with anticipation. How would they convey the magnitude of what they had learned? How could they prepare their worlds for the coming threat? As they approached the solar system, however, they realized that their absence had not gone unnoticed. The space around Earth was filled with ships, not just human and Vexillian vessels, but crafts from dozens of other species they had never encountered before. "It seems the galaxy has taken notice of our little alliance," Xerox observed, her tone a mix of pride and apprehension. Sarah nodded, her eyes fixed on the spectacular view before them. "And just in time, too. We're going to need all the allies we can get." The Horizon's return sparked a new era of galactic cooperation. The knowledge and warnings they brought back catalyzed unprecedented unity among Earth's nations and strengthened the bond with Vexilia. Other alien races, drawn by the unique nature of the human-Vexillian alliance, began to establish diplomatic relations. Xerek and Sarah found themselves at the forefront of these efforts, their experiences with the Luminarians making them invaluable bridges between cultures. They traveled to distant worlds, negotiated treaties, and helped establish a galactic defense network. But even as progress was made, reports began to trickle in from the fringes of known space. Entire systems going dark, refugee ships arriving with tales of horror. The Devourers were on the move, and they were heading towards the heart of the galaxy. As they prepared for the coming storm, Xerox and Sarah often found moments to reflect on how far they had come. "Do you ever miss the simplicity of our first meeting?" Sarah asked one evening, as they watched the sunset from the newly constructed Galactic Cooperation Center in Geneva. Xerex's scales shimmered with affection. "Sometimes, but I wouldn't trade what we've accomplished for anything. We've brought hope to the galaxy, Sarah. Together." As the sky darkened and stars began to appear, They both knew that the greatest challenge was yet to come, but they faced the future not with fear, but with determination and unity. The alliance that began with a chance encounter in a dust storm had blossomed into the galaxy's best hope for survival. Final confrontation and new beginnings. The day the Devourers entered the solar system would be forever etched in the memory of every sentient being who witnessed it. The massive world-eating ships darkened the sky, their very presence seeming to drain the light from nearby stars. Earth and Vexilia, along with their galactic allies, had prepared for this moment for years. A vast fleet of ships, incorporating technology from a dozen different species, stood ready to defend not just humanity and the Vexilians, but all life in the galaxy. Xerek and Sarah found themselves aboard the flagship of this grand alliance, a colossal vessel that represented the pinnacle of their combined technological and spiritual evolution. Around them, beings from across the galaxy worked in perfect harmony, each contributing their unique strengths to the cause. As the Devourers approached, the Defenders unleashed everything they had. Weapons of unimaginable power lit up the void of space, tearing into the enemy fleet. But the Devourers were relentless, absorbing much of the energy thrown at them and pressing forward. "It's not enough," Sarah said through gritted teeth, her hands dancing over control panels as she coordinated the fleet's movements. "We need to find a way to disrupt their energy absorption." Xerek, her scales pulsing with the strain of perceiving multiple dimensions at once, suddenly saw a pattern in the Devourers' defenses. "There," she exclaimed. "Their ships, they're not just absorbing energy, they're redirecting it through subspace. If we can overload that system." Understanding flashed between them. Using their telepathic abilities, honed through years of practice since their encounter with the Luminarians, they communicated the plan to the entire fleet in an instant. What followed was a battle that would be sung about for millennia to come. Ships darted and weaved in impossible patterns, striking at the Devourers from angles that shouldn't have existed in three-dimensional space. Beams of energy twisted and turned, guided by the combined willpower of countless minds working in unison. At the heart of it all were Xerek and Sarah. Their consciousnesses merged not just with each other, but with every being in the Alliance fleet. They became a single entity, moving with a purpose and coordination that the Devourers had never encountered before. Slowly, inexorably, the tide began to turn. One by one, the massive ships of the Devourers began to falter, their energy-absorbing capabilities overloaded by the precisely coordinated assault. But victory came at a terrible cost. Thousands of ships and millions of lives were lost in the battle, as the last of the Devourers' vessels imploded in a spectacular burst of light. A somber silence fell over the surviving fleet. In the aftermath, as the Allied forces tended to their wounded and mourned their dead, a message was received. The Luminarians, those ancient guardians of the galaxy, appeared before the assembled fleet. "You have done what we could not," they said, their voices filled with a mixture of sorrow and pride. "The threat of the Devourers is ended, not through raw power, but through the strength of your unity. The galaxy stands at a crossroads, and the path forward is yours to decide." With those words, the Luminarians faded away, leaving the allied species to contemplate their future. In the years that followed, a new galactic society began to take shape. The bonds forged in battle evolved into lasting friendships and alliances. Earth and Vexilia, once isolated worlds, became central hubs in a thriving interstellar community. Xerek and Sarah, hailed as heroes across the galaxy, found themselves at the forefront of this new era. They worked tirelessly to ensure that the unity achieved in the face of the Devourers was not lost in peacetime. On a warm evening, decades after their first meeting in that desert dust storm, Xerek and Sarah stood on the observation deck of a space station orbiting Earth. Below them, the planet glowed with the lights of a civilization that had grown far beyond its humble beginnings. In the distance, ships of all shapes and sizes moved through space, a testament to the diversity and cooperation that now defined galactic society. "Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this?" Sarah asked, echoing a question she had asked years ago at the beginning of their journey. Ziric's scales shimmered with emotion. Never in my wildest dreams. We've come so far, haven't we? Sarah nodded, a smile playing on her lips. And we've still got so much further to go. The universe is vast, and full of wonders we've yet to discover. As they looked out at the star-filled expanse before them, both felt a sense of profound gratitude and hope. The journey that had begun with a chance encounter between two very different beings had led to the salvation and transformation of an entire galaxy. The future stretched out before them, full of endless possibilities, and whatever challenges it might bring, they knew that they, and the united species of the galaxy, would face them together.